Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mr. Sanchez coming at you with another quality Algebra 2 video. Quality. That sounded weird. Algebra 2 video. Today's lesson is lesson 7-2. You're probably wondering we have to 7-1 and chapter 6 and chapter 4. Don't worry, we're skipping some stuff. Our goal here is factoring quadratic expressions. All right. Our learning target is to go to factor quadratic expressions of the form x squared plus bx plus 6 and of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, and I noticed I said 6 right here, but it should be c. Yeah, so this is just, so if you don't know what a quadratic function is, they look like this. They're x squared plus 12x plus 32. This is what you call a trinomial. It's a polynomial with 3 terms, and yeah, that's about as simple as we can get. We're gonna go into detail. We're gonna spend some time with factoring and polynomials and all that good stuff. So with quadratics. So stay along for the ride. We're gonna go factoring, then we're gonna go into the quadratic formula, then we're going to go into imaginary number, completing the square, and then we're gonna go into some fancy imaginary numbers. But for the most part, right now, we're just going to be focusing on regular quadratics. All right. And our goal is to factor this. So if you don't know what factoring is, it's the opposite of the distributive property. So normally we get quadratics. Let's say you have x plus 2 times x plus 3. You will do x times 2, that's x squared plus 3x plus 2x, and then plus 6, right? And then when you do that, you're gonna get x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? So this is called the distributive property. So when we factor, we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna go from here to here. So you don't have to write this part down right now that I just wrote, but we're going backwards. So that's called factoring. All right. So it's the opposite of the distributive property. And there's a method to it. So we don't know what this is yet, but we will figure it out. Okay. So we start out by drawing this x, right? Right. So on the top, we're gonna see what we're gonna add to, and on the bottom, what we multiply to. What you're probably wondering, what are we talking about? So we're gonna get numbers right now. We're gonna get this 32, right? And we're gonna put it down here. We're gonna want to multiply to our last value, which is c, and we're gonna want to add up to our b, so 12. So now we got to think of two numbers that when multiplied together, um, multiply to 32, but they also add up to 12. So what multiplies to 32? Let's write them out. 32 is 6 times, no, it's not 6. We don't multiply 6, my bad. We have, it's even, so we can have 16 times 2. We have 4 times 8, and we have 32 times 1. If you look at 4 times 8, 4 times 8 is 32, but 4 plus 8 is also 12. So ding, 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 we found our answer, right? And so once we have it like this, it just gives us our first factor, right? Since it's positive, you're gonna do x plus 4. That's how we get our first factor. And this is gonna give us our second factor, x plus 8. And this is our answer. It's gonna be multiplied like that. Normally we write it more like this. Let me see. We write it like this, right? And this is gonna be our answer. X plus 4 times x plus a, right? Ooh, that's our answer. All right. Now let's go ahead and look at this next one, okay? Um, and that's how you factor basically. So we're gonna draw our x. We're gonna want to multiply to 12 and add up to -7, right? You keep the sign, right? So let's think of what multiplies to 12. This time, you have to include negative numbers, all right? And here's a trick. Because of this right here, since if you ever go minus positive, we know that both our factors have to be negative. Because think about it, we multiplied into a positive, but add up to a negative. So negative times negative is positive. And let's see, -6 times 2 does not add up to -7. Let's see what else multiplies to 12. 3 times 4, right? So let's try negative 3 times negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12, but you add up to 7, negative 7, right? So that means that our factors are going to be x minus 3, because it's a minus, times x minus 4, okay? And that's going to be our answer. These are our factors, okay? Right. So hopefully it's not too hard to look at this. If you end up getting minus minus, then you're gonna know that it's gonna be a negative times a positive. So for the most part, this one's negative and negative. All right. Now we have a different type. All right. This is our second learning target. What makes this problem different from the first two is that there's a number in front of our x squared, and that's going to change things. Okay. So how is it going to change it? You might be wondering. So we're going to draw a giant. We're going to draw a bigger x, right? Our x. It's still going to multiply this number and add up to the top. The top number still comes down, 13. But now we're going to want to multiply this times this. So 6 times negative 5 is going to be negative 30. So we're going to want to multiply to negative 30, right? So what two numbers multiply to negative 30 and add up to 13? Let's think about it. That's good. We can write them down. 30 is 10 times 3, right? If you put them both negative, we can get that. So negative 10 times negative 3 gives you a positive, a positive 30. So oops, that doesn't work. Let's see, let's try some other ones. Let's erase all of it. Let's try some other numbers. Let's try 6 times 5 and then 15 times 3. No, it's not 15 times 3, it's 2. Let's try positive 15 times negative 2. Let's try that. 15 times negative 2. 15 times negative 2 is positive 30. And 15 plus negative 2 is positive 13. So that's going to be our answer, quote unquote. But there's one more step. All right. So we're now going to have to write this line and divide by this 6. Divide by 6, divide by 6. Okay. And now what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to simplify our fraction a little bit. Negative 2 over 6 is the same thing as negative 1 over 3 because you divide the top and bottom by 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. Same thing on the bottom, divide the top and bottom by 3's. And you're going to get 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, and now we got to write our factors. How do we write our factors? It's actually a little more complicated than we're used to. So this negative 1 over 3 is going to turn into, all right, so we're going to have our x minus 1 times 3. Okay, so this part goes here and this part goes here. That's our first factor. And then our second factor is going to be this way, right? So you're going to have the number, you're going to have x minus the first number, the bottom number, x minus the top number, I'm sorry, x minus 5. But then we'll bring that over here. And you're going to bring the 2 in the front of the x. So these are our factors. 2x minus 5 times 3x minus 1. Ta-da. It's a little bit more complicated, right? But it ends up working out. And if you follow everything out, you're going to get the right answer. So if you distribute, right, you get 2. You can always check your answer. 2 times 3 is 6x squared minus 2x plus minus, oops, this should be a plus 5, guys, right? Because this is a positive number. We get this minus makes it a minus, but because it's a positive, we need plus 5. So plus 10x, plus 15x, and then minus 5, I guess, right? And then you FOIL it out, you're gonna get 6x squared plus 13x minus 5. And that way you can check that our answer is correct because that was original quadratic. All right, now we're gonna do one more and then we'll be done. All right, so once again, we're gonna multiply, multiply here, add up here. We have to multiply our first two numbers, 10 times 3, which is 30, and we add up to 11. All right. The more and more you do this, the easier it gets. 1 multiplies to 30, 10 times 3. But if you add those together, you're gonna get 13, not that. And then 15 times 2, we just did that. It's not gonna give us that. So the one that's left is 6 times 5. 6 times 5 is also 11. But remember, we gotta divide by this 10. So we're gonna divide everything by 10. Divide everything by 10. You simplify this, this is 1/2. And this one's gonna be divide both sides by 2. You're gonna get 3/5, right? So that means that this factor becomes 3x, nope, my bad, 5x plus 3, right? The 5 goes with the x, the 3 goes on the outside. That's part of it. And then this one's gonna be, oops, there's a little delay. This one's gonna be, oops, 1 second. The number on top goes on that, we're gonna have 2x plus 1. Yeah, these are a little tough, even I forget sometimes, but remember. Bottom number goes next to x, the top number goes on the outside. So then our factors are gonna be 5x plus 3 times 2x plus 1. And that's it, guys. That's our lesson. We're gonna spend one day practicing with the regular ones and one day practicing with the ones with numbers in front of x. All right, other than that, we're gonna call it an end. All right, bye guys. If you have questions, ask me in class.